like sucking, but I ain't gay.
Legit bad podcast.
Fuck those honkies.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
He really knows how to suck a wiener.
Well, welcome back to Legit Bat. We are back again this week. New guest that we've never had on before, and thanks for joining us. If this is your first time listening, I'm Joe. Jen is with me. By some miracle, she got off work in time to get here. Ben's also here by some other fucking miracle. I think you're like 4 for 4 in the last 4 shows. So
I know, we're proud of you, Ben.
yay.
We've only been doing
Cheers
once
for
a
that.
week, so
It's a lot easier doing that.
It is
huh?
easier.
Yeah.
I agree.
I will also be putting out, hopefully tomorrow, a show we did with Drew over You're Missing the Point. So tune into that one if you haven't listened to it on his feed, because me and Jen went on his show and it was quite fun talking to an Aussie, and he picked our brains for about an hour and a half. So listen if you want.
His show's a little more structured than ours,
Yeah, a little more
so
professional.
you might enjoy it.
Kind of took notes. But our guest tonight is Becca Dickens, and she is a regenerative farmer. So we're going to get into that, and an energy healer. She is a co-owner of Regenerative Life Farms in Illinois, and they do chemical-free, no-till, deep compost market garden with magical soil and 200 chickens and cattle. So
Sounds amazing.
stuff we all kind of want to do, at least over here at the Bat. It sounds like a great way to live and not have to go to work every day, which is everybody's dream.
No, you are going to work every day.
But for yourself and your community, not for a CEO.
You're not working for the man. You're not being someone's bitch, which is what none of us want to do. We all want to be working for ourselves for the betterment of everybody.
Good luck with that. She's one of the few that figured it out. So why don't you introduce yourself real quick, more than that or less than that, and exactly what regenerative farming is. I'm assuming it's like permaculture, but you can get into that. You're more versed than I am, so go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Regenerative farming is kind of a popular word. We named our farm. We really started it in 2018, and we called what we were trying to do regenerative farming. It used to be called organic farming or permaculture or lots of other names. Organic farming has kind of been taken over, been corporatized, and so it's a sticker that you can put on food and charge more for it, but it doesn't mean what we're trying to mean, which is that we don't put any chemicals on the farm, on the garden. Anything that ends in the suffix "icide," "icide" means murder. So homicide means man murder, herbicide means plant murder. And I don't really trust, if I put an herbicide on my garden, that it's going to be so selective to kill some of the plants and not the plants that I want. And I don't think that it won't kill me either. I think if I put murder on my garden, it might kill me and the other people who eat it. So
I'll round up, right?
yeah, exactly. So no chemicals. And I am in Illinois, virtually surrounded by corn and soybeans. And
That's what I think of Illinois. I know I
Yeah.
rag on the Midwest, but when I think of anywhere from about Nevada to New York, it's just corn and soybeans.
You're not wrong.
I'm kind of wrong, but kind of right.
No, there's a lot of corn and soybeans.
There's
Good,
a
we
lot
need
of corn
those.
and soybeans. So Illinois is on some of the richest topsoil in the entire world. Just the glaciers stopped here in kind of east central Illinois. It's just amazing soil as it was naturally. It's great for growing food. We have 4 seasons, but a nice long growing season, very rich soil. This is the situation in Illinois. I don't know the statistics on all the states, but it's very similar in other states. 90% of the food that is eaten in Illinois is grown outside of Illinois, much of it outside of the country, grown, produced, processed somewhere else. So here we are in the perfect environment for growing food. We're growing corn and soybeans, 40% of which go to make ethanol. So if you're saying that Illinois feeds the world, it makes ethanol that you could put in your car and drive your car through the drive-through and get some fast food. And that is how it's feeding you.
Right.
And so it's just a ridiculous thing. And so besides being a regenerative farmer, I'm very passionate about growing food and eating food. And if you look at an ingredients list on what you're eating and you don't know some of the words in the ingredients list, that's not a food. And so I'm pretty passionate and would like to just, that's not food, is what I would
Yeah.
like to say when I go to the grocery store. So regenerative farming is also very focused on the soil. The reason I say I have magical soil is that it's truly magic. If the soil is like the immune system of the plants, and just like the human gut, we're finding that our guts, the microbiome in there is what gives us our immunity. And, you know, it's kind of a brain also. It gives us some intelligence. You have a gut instinct. It's the same with the soil for the plant. Its gut is in the soil. And there's this rich mycelium network, all of this fungi that forms wires, cords, communication lines all throughout the soil. So if there is healthy soil, the plants will be healthier. Healthy plants have a natural immunity to bugs and disease, just like a healthy person has a natural resistance to toxins and disease and bugs. And so this mycelium network is a communication, just like the World Wide Web. If a plant at one end of the row starts, a squash plant, starts getting attacked by squash bugs, that plant, and however it communicates, sends a message through the soil, through that mycelium network, and it says, oh my gosh, I'm being attacked by squash bugs. All of you other plants, my brothers and sisters, start making that stuff that is resistant to squash bugs. We need that thing, make that thing that squash bugs hate. We need to start making that. And the plants go, oh my gosh, soil, help us out. Give us the minerals and the nutrition that we need to produce this thing that resists squash bugs. This one down at the end gets sacrificed maybe, and the squash bugs eat it. The other plants, the squash bugs try to eat it and they can't digest it, or they don't like the taste of it, and the rest of the plants thrive. So when you run a tiller through the garden to break up the soil, you're cutting all of these wires, just like if you went behind your computers or crawled under your desk and just cut all the wires, and nothing would be connected or communicate anymore. So regenerative
how do
farming
you,
is about
how do
honoring.
you do that without tilling? I'm sure you're getting to that, but that was my next question.
Well, yeah, there is. It's a very good question. And when we very first started some of the rows, the first year, there's nothing else to do because it's grass and weeds and you're just never going to get caught up. But and so we did a bit of tilling, but not since that very first year. We do use a broad fork. I don't, because that is man work. No, I'm just not strong enough. But it's like a gigantic fork that you step on. It has about 3 tines on it. You stick it down into the ground and, lean back, and it just breaks up the soil if it's very hard packed a little bit.
Divots.
Isn't
Another
that kind
thing
of a
in-
form of aeration?
Not beyond that, just that broad fork, just to break it up a bit. Then we lay cardboard on top of that, and the cardboard is really to choke out the grass seed and the other things that are already natively growing there. The cardboard will disintegrate eventually. We put on top of the cardboard compost. It's actually mushroom compost. When people grow mushrooms for food, they grow them in these great big bags. And there's big bags of soil, and the mushrooms grow in it, and they harvest the mushrooms out of the bag. For some reason, they can only do this for one harvest. So they grow this big giant bag of soil that's hanging from the ceiling. They harvest the mushrooms out of it and then sell the compost. So we lay that out on top of the cardboard, and it makes first we get it and mix it in. Jared, my partner, who is brilliant. Everything I'm saying, I learned from him. I sound very smart about regenerative farming. I really say that he is in charge of all of the knowledge and most of the hard work, and I'm in charge of vibes. And so
and marketing.
That's
apparently.
like my expertise.
That's a good combo.
And communication. So he takes that compost, we mix it with these compost piles, the mushroom compost mixed with something like a kind of wood, like grass clippings or wood shavings or just some kind of plant matter that's disintegrating, and mixed with some chicken poop, which we have a lot of. Let that sit for about 2 years, and it gets super hot. Like the dogs like to lay on top of it. Jared has a giant thermometer he sticks in there. It's like 140 degrees in the wintertime inside this compost, just because of the massive metabolism and life that's coming out of that. Anyway, come spring, we lay that out on top of the cardboard, plant right into it. And every year that we've done that, the soil is getting richer, and those plants, those beds are, after a while, you don't need to keep adding more compost. It's pretty rich soil, just by itself.
So it
There's
sounds
some
like
other
this is something
principles
you
of
could do in like really terrible areas, like over here in Northern California. We have awful soil, and California does a lot of agriculture, but right where we are, it's hard red clay and it's super hard to grow in. So this seems like something that could, I mean, after 3 or 4 years, could probably be a good plot of land of decent dirt. But is that true? Or
Yeah, I think it is true. Yeah, it's amazing. Some of our land is it's our land where the farm is built is owned by Jared and his family. And so there was a giant pasture owned by Jared's mother and sister. And for the last decades, they have leased it to a conventional farmer, corn and soybeans. So when we started in 2018, that just 1 year it would be corn and the next year it would be soybeans. But we asked them to lease it to us instead of that farmer. And so after he was done with the last time he did it, it was just scorched earth, just barren dirt, not soil. Jared
tumbleweeds?
hand sowed some rye, vetch, and clover seeds onto it just with his hands. He walked the entire 12 acres and spread these seeds. And, we hopefully waited and saw the little green shoots come up. And 5 years later, it's grass up to my shoulders. Our cows live there. Our chickens, their eggmobile moves on this pasture. So yeah, in 5 years, that went from scorched earth, poisoned dirt, soil. I wouldn't eat anything. I wouldn't want to breathe next to that, what they're spraying on to that soil. And now it's a thriving pasture full of birds, full of grasshoppers. When I walk out to see the chickens, I'm going to visit them at their eggmobile, which I'll tell you about. When it's grasshopper season, just every step, I just see a grasshoppers hopping in front of me all the way until I get to the chickens paddock. And I walk into the chickens paddock, not a single grasshopper. They have all been, but by the first hours of dawn, every grasshopper that they can get to is eaten.
Oh yeah.
They love that stuff, even the dried ones, which is really gross. She bought a bag of dried grasshoppers the other day, and if you haven't, I mean, a grasshopper is fucking nasty enough, but a dried one, it's all crunchy. They love it though. So I'm
But
just
we
like,
don't-
life.
We don't
Here
have
you
a
go.
pasture, so if we had enough bugs in our yard, I wouldn't have to buy those supplements for them. But it sounds like you have quite a bit of wildlife going on for them to get to. That's awesome. So what is the eggmobile? I want to hear about this.
So we really want them to be pastured, and the eggmobile is a mobile home for chickens. Jared designed it. It's on a trailer. It's a house built with chicken roosts and also nest boxes where they're supposed to lay eggs. They pretty much lay eggs in the nest boxes. The nest boxes hang from the ceiling. The chickens can get up into the nest boxes and lay eggs. The nest boxes have a slanted floor, so they roll to the middle where there's a conveyor belt. And so when we collect the eggs, we just manually pull the conveyor belt towards us and collect the eggs that they've laid in the nest boxes that rolled down there. But
That
this
is
is on
so
a trailer, and so every morning it has some electric fence that goes around it. It's a solar powered fence that's very light, and it just sticks in the ground with spikes. And so Jared gets up before dawn, picks up all of the fencing, puts it in the back of this little Kubota that we have, picks up all the chicken food, hooks up the trailer that the eggmobile is on, to the back of the Kubota, and he just moves it, to one length of their paddock size, which they have enough room with. It's about 200 chickens right now that we have, and they each, they're not crammed together at all. They all have like plenty of space. They have a nice space of pasture for each of them. So anyway, he opens up this little ramp they're all closed up in there. It's my job at night. I go out just as it's getting dark. Just a magical time of the evening. All the chickens automatic, you know this from your chickens, when it gets dark out, they just know to go to roost.
Mhm.
And if they don't make it to the roost, they pretty much just like, they just go to sleep wherever they are. They just get really lethargic. So they all go toddle up this little ramp, and they go up into their roosts and find their place and go to sleep. I go out there and close all the doors, put up their ramp. They're all shut in and protected from any animals that might get in there, and put all their feeders and their waterers and everything closed up inside there. So when Jared comes in the morning, he just picks up the fences, hooks up the Kubota, pulls it one section, and then opens it up, and they get to go to completely fresh pasture, untouched the day before. It's amazing how much grass they can mat down, scratch up, having their dirt baths. I mean, it's a pretty destroyed area, each one that they go to. Of course, they poop a whole lot. We do have 3 cows right now, 2 cows and 1 heifer. I'm trying to get all the cow names straight at what stage of life they're in. But 3 cattle, and the chicken eggmobile follows the cattle pretty much. So where they have their cattle poop, the chickens can scratch in that and spread it around. And so all of that is enriching the pasture. But plus, those chickens, we do supplement them and give them some chicken feed, but they're getting to eat all of the bugs and grasses. And I saw one of them eat like a baby vole once. It was so disgusting.
A chicken?
Like they're like
Wait, a chicken ate,
a chicken.
and they are like
Yeah,
dinosaurs. That
like,
is
what is
totally
she doing? She was not going to bed. She kept messing with something, and I saw she started like picking it up, and she was trying to, and she swallowed it whole, just a tiny little bit like that. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, we've told the story on our show, but when one of our chickens was ripped apart by some animal, I don't know what it was, I wasn't putting them away at night because they were fine. They were like a little flock of 5.
Till they weren't.
Yeah. Now we put them away, but one of them got eaten, and the 3 chickens the next day, the leftover chickens, were like eating that chicken.
Oh, they're
the pieces of it. They had like the intestines in their mouth and pieces of feathers. They were just going to town on it.
I thought they were fighting over a rock the other day, and it was a snail shell, and they'd probably already eaten the slimy bits, but they were fighting over the shell too. And then today I found some very out-of-date hamburger buns in the pantry, which is probably my fault. And they had a life growth on, they had an ecosystem going on, and so I went out there and fed that to them. They ate all that shit up too. They got guts of steel or gizzards of steel.
Yeah. I wouldn't throw them mold, but like
It'll be all right. They eat poop. I mean,
I want their poop to be healthy though, because we do put it in a compost pile, and
if we get blue eggs,
maybe
I'll
we'll
worry
have
about
penicillin plants.
Yeah. So when they poop all over the place, 200. Okay, that. I get pissed at 3, but we also have a 1/4 acre. So 200 poops a day times probably 15. I think they poop at least 15 times a day, at least here. But they're also rooting around with their claws. So they're kind of mulching the ground in that area themselves too. So then you move it along the next day and they do the same thing. So that would be what I was thinking of doing, like the regenerative part of it. That's how sustainable farming, if you want to use the WEF terminology, but that's where you keep your cows. So all you have to do is make sure just grass or alfalfa or whatever grows and they have stuff to munch on all day. And you said that was 12 acres. That's a lot to walk by hand and seed all that. So when you're talking about man work, that's a lot of fucking work. But you said in no time, 5 years later, you have this whole pasture to, bring your cattle to. So how many acres do you need per cow? Because I'm trying to figure out how big my farm should be.
Yeah, I think with it's 12 acres, the garden part is really just like a 1/4 acre. It's amazing how much food you can produce from a very small amount of land. And we also live on those 12 acres, our house and our market. But I think with the amount of land, so let's say 12 acres generally, we could have 6 calf-cow pairs, so 12. So our goal is to have mothers and babies here, up to 6. So 2 of the cows that we have right now are pregnant, and we'll have calves hopefully in the fall. And so we'll
don't really
hopefully
need
just
that much
build up the
space.
herd.
For a few cows, you don't really need
Yeah.
a whole lot of space.
That's right.
Nice.
What do you do with the cows? Do you use them for milk or do you sell them?
You make sandwiches
Do you,
out
yeah,
of them.
do you make your own meat?
Yeah, we're not doing any milk because neither one of us wants to milk. I'm still kind of nutritionally, I'm not convinced that humans need to eat stuff intended for baby cows. I
Same.
love cheese, but that's not something I'm doing right now. So yeah, no milk. Plus it's just, I don't know that much about it, but I think you have to separate the moms from the calves at some point to continue milking them beyond the time that they're milking to take care of their calf. And that just doesn't, it kind of bothers me morally.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't sound
mostly just
natural.
lazy. I don't want to milk cows. Yeah, not natural. So anyway, we're just, yeah, it's a meat storage. If it comes to that, like we are trying to homestead, and so we do want to have a lot of stored food, and a cow is a kind of stored food. We have a good relationship with somebody who has a big cattle herd, who they went on a vacation to his place to get pregnant. And so we just kind of exchange stuff with him. And so we will sell or trade to that guy if they have male babies, if they have male calves, and we'll just keep the females. They also are good for the soil. It's just, they're always in regenerative farming. In all kinds of traditional farming, animals have always been part of it. It's very unnatural now that we have farms where that animals aren't incorporated as part of it. Energetically, I think it's really great to have animals. And so, yeah, it feels good to have the cows here. They're great for the soil. They're a great meat storage if it comes to that. They give a good vibe. It's just
Heck
Oh
yeah.
yeah,
all of
it's I
that,
mean,
yeah.
if you're talking about large scale storage of calories, a cow is a great way to go. One cow, prepare it right, preserve it, that can last a family of 4 for like 2 years if you stretch it. If
Right.
it comes to that. And obviously it's not feasible for everybody who have their own cows, but like you said, you have a good relationship with a cattle farmer. So if you don't have room to have cows, if you live in an apartment in New York, maybe go drive an hour and meet a cattle guy, and he'll probably give you a good deal if you're nice enough to him. But I've done that before where I bought like a quarter of a cow at a time, and you're talking about local beef, and it's like $3 a pound, $3 or $4 a pound,
Yeah.
and they just give you every cut imaginable. You're not going to get that deal anywhere else. So if you're interested in buying a lot of meat for the winter, you also need a deep freezer. Trust me. Do you have one of those or 4?
Yes, we do. We have a freezer. We're not storing a huge amount of beef right now,
Just in
but
case.
we are selling ground beef at our markets, and so we're selling some of that guy's beef, reselling it, and we sell our stew hens when our chickens are retired. We do sell those for meat, and so we're selling some meat. I am in a position right now of such blessings and luxury that I eat. I would say right now, since I gave up grain, 90% of what I eat is local food, and most of it very local. So the bulk of my
Nice.
diet is vegetables and eggs, and then some local beef and our chickens sometimes. But so mostly what I eat is vegetables and eggs, and it's all from this farm. And just to be able to eat like that is the greatest blessing of my life. And I feel like it gives me superpowers. When you
Eggs
mentioned
and
somebody in a
vegetables. Yeah, that's
apartment-
probably one of the healthiest things you could eat, unless you're some retard vegan that doesn't want to eat eggs. But yeah, eggs and vegetables, you could live off that for a long fucking time.
Yeah. About the people in apartments, my heart just goes out to it when I hear about someone, because when I used to live in a city and in a small place and had no idea where my food came from. And I'm so grateful that when we went through the 2020 and the pandemic and everything, that I already had this farm. I don't know what I would have done if I was like, if there was no toilet paper on the shelves and I started panicking about where my food came from and I was stuck in an apartment in a city. So I just want to say to anybody who like hears that and goes, yeah, that's great for her. She gets to live, out in the country on a farm, but I'm
White
stuck here in the
privilege.
city. Yeah, there's a lot that you can do. And just like he said, make friends with a farmer. There are people who grow meat or people who grow food within an hour of your city, and go make friends with them and start buying something from them so that you have a relationship with them. If things do hit the fan, they're going to want to do business and help the people who supported them before things hit the fan. So go make friends with a farmer now. It's a really great experience. It'll give you better food. Just develop the relationships now and your life will be enriched.
Not to mention, if you make friends with a cattle farmer, I'm assuming he's also got guns and ammo to protect that flock. So that's another good friend to have. The ammo guy. He might even have a bunker, which I need to go find myself a cattle farmer now because I need to have a bunker to go to just in case.
We know one. We know, what is it, Brian in Australia?
Oh yeah, that's gonna not in walking distance though. So I'm gonna have to find a plane in the apocalypse and then be like, Brian, we're on our way. So what do you recommend though for people who want to do? Because I've heard of people even in apartments keeping chickens. Don't ask me about the legality of that, but there are people who keep chickens in their apartment. Obviously, these are not going to be exactly free range unless you count your living room as having enough bugs for them to devour. But
No way. You could never do that. They poop on everything.
well, you just put out little puppy things everywhere and just change them out. I don't know.
Oh, no.
I don't.
Nope.
I don't recommend having chickens.
Highly don't
indoors,
recommend having a chicken inside.
But what do you recommend for people like that who live in New York City besides making friends with somebody an hour away? Like, because we've talked a lot about there's hanging gardens you can have in hydroponics and all this stuff, and some of that stuff's expensive. But what would you do if you lived in an apartment in New York City and you just really wanted to grow your own food? What route would you go?
Yeah, I would four things. I would say the fourth being make friends with the farmer, but the other three are start really small. There is something about eating something that you grew. So grow something that you can eat, even if it's an herb like oregano on your windowsill. You have one little window and you put a little paper cup there with an oregano seed in it and you watch it sprout. You water it every day. You feel that joy when it sprouts. You both sit there and look at the sunrise together. You bless it every single day. And then when you harvest it, food carries energy. And it seems like such a small thing, but like that oregano will just like blow you away when you put it into your, let's say you make a tomato sauce with it and you put a little of that oregano that you grew in it. I don't know, it starts to change your heart. It changes your body and your soul to eat that, something that you grew, and you get your body wakes up and remembers something and starts wanting more of it. You can make pots of tomatoes if you have a little patio. Yeah, people grow stuff in bags and hydroponically. And there's all kinds of crazy things that you can do with the space that you have. Chickens inside. We one time bought 100 chicks. You can just get chicks through the mail. We got 100 chicks inside and we brooded them indoors. And it was kind of in our not in our home. It was downstairs in like what used to be a wood shop. 100 chicks, though. It quickly became quite overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, I
it was
can't
insane.
imagine
So
having full-grown chicks inside. We had our baby chicks in the
know.
garage, but not full-grown.
Well, we had our
chicks,
baby
no.
chicks inside because we got them in March.
But yeah, we put the warmer
So
in
we
there. and
had
all
them inside, and all we heard was like chirp, 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 chirp. They were in the next room, and we couldn't sleep past 5 a.m. And then finally we're like, I think they're big enough to go outside. Let's get them a heater
gotta go
and
outside.
shove them out in the coop.
that. Yeah, and they start smelling real quick. And like, no, we're not doing this. So you
Yeah.
said that was first thing, start small.
Yeah,
And
so
you said
I would
fourth
say
would be make
grow
friends.
some-
So
Yeah, grow things you can eat. Another thing is to learn how to cook from scratch. One thing. This is just like to tie you back into real food and to get into a local food, real food community. So that means cooking from scratch. It just means using whole foods. What a whole food is, it's something that if it has a list of ingredients, first of all, most whole foods don't have a list of ingredients. Like an apple doesn't have a list of ingredients, it's an apple. But if you look, if it has a list of ingredients on a box, there should be 5 or fewer ingredients. All of those ingredients should be words that you know what the words mean. And the first ingredient needs to be something other than sugar.
Yeah,
So if
that's
you
why I
can-
love as a general staple. We cook it all the time, but it's just corn tortillas, and obviously it depends on where you get your corn. You don't want some GMO corn, which is probably what I buy. But you look at the back of corn tortillas, and it's like corn, water, salt, if that. Sometimes it's just
Yes.
corn and water. So I would consider corn tortillas a whole food to go along with my beef.
Yeah, that's perfect. So learn how to cook something that's really delicious and that uses whole foods and cook from scratch. I don't think that many people know how to cook from scratch and what that really means. But again, food carries energy. It will change you, and it changes what you eat when you know how to cook that way. And you'll it tastes different, and it nourishes you differently, and it starts to change you. So that's the second thing, is to cook something from scratch that you love to eat. The third thing is to start eating with other people and making mealtime sacred. So I know these things aren't like how to start your own home garden, but this is like about how to tie yourself back into a food community and to start moving food up into a place of prominence in your life. And when you eat with other people, it's impossible to be an enemy with somebody that you've broken bread with. When people have big, important business deals, they often have a meal around it because it humanizes us and bonds us together. When people get married, there's a big meal afterwards to celebrate, and everybody blesses the union. When there's a funeral, there's often a meal after the funeral so that everyone can come together and say, we are still here, we are alive, and we are sharing this food together, and we are continuing on, and we are all here for each other. And so if we can just eat together, eat with people that you care about and love, or eat with people even that you don't get along with that well. Jared and I used to just have a series. We just would have somebody different to dinner once a week, every Saturday night. And we invited people that we knew well, and people that we didn't know very well, and people that we loved, and people that we didn't get along with that well. And I changed some relationships I had with some family members by cooking a meal for them. I would make sweet potatoes, and I would think, okay, how is she going to like this sweet potato? What if I make fries? Would that delight her? I think I'll put some cinnamon on them, and just put all of this love and energy into preparing the food. And then we sit down and enjoy it together. And meal times should be like this. It can be like this every day, a sacred moment. And again, and then the fourth one, make friends with the farmer, and start making connections with people who care about food. And it can transform your whole life, not to mention what it will do for your health as you start eating a whole food way, and the poison food starts not to taste good anymore.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, on the last episode, how if you eat really healthy for a while, you can handle a Big Mac. So, I'm ragging on McDonald's again, shit. But you can handle a Big Mac, but it's going to make you feel like ass for the rest of the day because your body's like, hey, no, not this. I like what you said about when you grow your own, even just if it's an herb like a rosemary on your windowsill or something like that, there definitely is something especially when you put so much energy into growing something like a tomato, where you can go down to the store and get one for 50 cents, or you can spend 50 cents on seeds and spend 3 months and then you get a tomato. But there is something different about growing it in your backyard that tastes. And I know Ben hates tomatoes, so he can't comment on this one, but tomatoes grown in your own yard they're an actual fruit. You go to the store and get one, and it's more like a vegetable. Like it's crunchy and white and gross, and it has no life in it. It's just nasty. You get a tomato from your backyard, and it's blood red all the way through. It's just like, oh yes, I made that.
I do appreciate homegrown tomatoes
In salsa.
Yes, if they are crushed up into little itty bits and you make
Ben's
them
like,
into
I
homegrown
like
salsa.
tomatoes. I love ketchup. You ever had Heinz 57?
No, but I was gonna say too, because you brought up the last episode. also the kind of water that you use to plant these or that you use on these plants makes a massive difference. If you're just using municipal water, you might as well not doing everything that you're doing. That's not true, but it's for the comparison, like, use good water. If you don't have access to it, try to get it imported into your own tank or something that
Or
is going to have
catch
actual,
rainwater.
or
I know
catch
it's not
rainwater and have a
legal.
redistribution like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
catching rainwater
not
is
good.
illegal in most places, but become ungovernable and stick a fucking bucket in your backyard and catch some rainwater. If you're in a place where it rains, which we are, well, now I guess we kind of are. I did want to ask you that back when you were talking about that one patch of soil that dude had that was like just toxic and gross. So what do you think about that? Because we've talked about this a lot where I'm like, you can do everything you can, and the rain even is bad because of chemtrails or because of long-lasting chemicals like the estrogen or birth control and opiates and all this stuff. So where do you get your water from? And I'm sure you are. I'm absolutely sure you think it makes a difference which water you use. So what do you think about the general toxicity of water? Because how do you get away from it?
Yeah. Oh, water. It's very important. I'm so glad you brought that up, Ben. The first few years of the farm, we were using the city water, and it has chlorine in it. It might be a chloride, it might be a different form, but it's basically chlorine. It's not good for plants. And so we would filter it. And so it was just expensive, and we had to buy a big water tank. And so before it would go to the garden, we would have to filter it. We didn't have very big filters, so it took a long time. So we were just constantly filtering it, fill up the big tank, and then use the tank to run the sprinklers on the garden. A couple of years ago, Jared dug a pond, and he's very brilliant. The way the land is shaped, it's mostly flat in Illinois, but there's a little bit of undulation. But he put the pond where it doesn't get any runoff from the chemical farmers that surround us. So all of the runoff that goes into the pond, it either falls from the sky, which, like you said, you're going to get some crap that's falling from the sky, but it's falling into the pond. And if all the runoff is coming from our farm, from our own land, so that we know it doesn't have like glyphosate sprayed directly on it. And
So you're not
it goes
irrigated at all by a river or anything like that?
No, it just it flows into low spots, and the pond is in a, it just works to that the pond is a little bit lower, and so it basically flows into there. If you have a healthy pasture, it holds water much better, and so that's another reason a lot of that erosion and everything, it happens because the soil is so unhealthy and it's basically just like sandy. But healthy soil holds water really well. But the pond is full right now because we're just coming out of winter and have had a lot of spring rains. There's a pump that pumps out to the sprinklers, so that, and all of it, I do think a lot for people who don't have access to a pond, what another great luxury we have. There's a lot you can do, like with chlorine off gases by itself after 24 hours. There's a lot of other crap in the water, but even just letting it sit for a while, if you were going to have a house plant or grow some rosemary on your windowsill, fill a pitcher with water and let it set out for a couple of days before you water it. I would say in those 2 days while it's setting out and the chemicals hopefully off gassing, I would write words and tape them to the pitcher, words like love and energy and nourishment, and to meditate and to pray over that water every day and bless that water. I really think you can change the structure of water with
Oh
your,
yeah, we had Veda Austin on, that New Zealander.
Oh, I
that
love Veda Austin.
She was,
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
she was
nuts.
amazing.
If you think this sounds like woo-woo shit, go check out Veda Austin and see what you think after
Or
that.
go buy some petri dishes yourself, because I had some insane experiences and emailed them to her, and she put them on her page because we just saw the craziest things. Like the water copied a picture of something that we had set it on for like, I don't know, 60 seconds. It was absolutely
and
wild.
that goes into like water memory stuff, but even
Yeah,
with
that's what I was
that
gonna say.
that Japanese guy though that did those same experiments with the love and hate and all that stuff
Oh
in the
yeah,
water,
just speaking the word
and
into
then
the
looking
water.
at it under a microscope, and just you can look into all that. That's for a different show, but that is interesting. But so what you're talking about when setting it out and it off gas, is that like a natural distillation type of thing, or just naturally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not enough maybe, but it's better than nothing. I make sourdough bread a lot, and I teach sourdough bread making classes, and I use filtered water to make the bread because again, the chlorine kills the sourdough starter. So I just tell people it will work if you let the water sit out overnight. But it's, yeah, all of that Veda Austin woo-woo stuff of blessing the water, it really works. I use a Berkey water filter for the water that I drink and the water that I cook in. Even if I'm gonna, boil eggs or something, I don't use tap water for that. It is a Berkey filter and has fluoride filters on it because I'm
Oh, awesome.
not calcifying my pineal gland with fluoride. So I haven't had any fluoride for like 5 years, and no fluoride in the toothpaste. And so I feel that's pretty important. And so I'm just really careful about what I drink. I do still take baths in tap water. And so
Hey,
I.
you can handle it though, because look what all the like you said, better than nothing. It's
Yeah.
you're doing what you can with what you have, and that's gonna be better than fucking nothing.
Yeah, and you have
Oh,
all the superfoods in you too
I
that are
forgot
like,
because we're so squirrely. I was gonna mention people that are in apartments or whatever. You can also learn to sprout real easy. Go check out Lindsay Sharman's Substack over at Rogue Ways. She has a whole thing that I followed. Super easy. If I can sprout on my window, you can. Ben, sorry, did I cut you off?
No, you didn't cut me off. I just wanted to get in on this action before we moved on to something else. Is if you are going to set out a picture and, like she said, put intentions on it and stuff like that, a little bit of sunlight goes a long way. If you can if you have a glass pitcher instead of like plastic, and you set it out in the sunlight, it kills a lot of the shit in there that isn't supposed to be in water.
UV. Yeah.
Yeah, UV. If you have the ability to, start a cycle of like putting one out for a day and then you get it the next morning and then you replace that with one for that little plant, like you were talking about the rosemary plant, you'll see a big difference.
Yeah. But
Totally.
I like what you said about the sourdough starter. Maybe that's a problem with the sourdough starter.
hey, my sourdough starter is amazing.
No, it works great.
There's nothing wrong with my sourdough starter. It's doing great. I just don't I don't stretch and fold right. I'll have to talk to you about that off air.
Tell
It's
me.
definitely my stretch and folds.
Yeah, so when you do, take two. We're going into the other part of what you sent me. So when you're talking about, putting the energy and all that and the intention into your plants or water or whatever else you're doing, I think it does make a big difference. Look at the zero energy mass production farming, and they're just out there. The farmer doesn't give a shit just as long as they grow and making money. When you're growing it yourself and putting that energy into it, it definitely tastes a lot better. So that's the other part of what you sent me, is that you're an energy healer. What do you do? How should I describe you?
Yeah, energy healer works. I started doing it a couple of years ago, though it's maybe something I've been doing all my life, reading people's energy. I feel like I have a gift, which everybody has. It's maybe more expressed in me. I've got in touch with it at some point after 2013 when I went on a very crazy awakening journey. And things just keep developing and you get new superpowers. And anyway, I do energy healing sessions over the phone or on Zoom for people all over the country, strangers and people that I know both. And basically, I just use intuition and conversation with them. Something happens, I meditate before I get on the phone with them and make some notes of some things, messages that come to me to share with them. I think I tap into their energy wherever they are. Some people call Reiki energy healing. I'm not at all trained in Reiki, so I don't claim anything like that, although I believe it's similar to what I'm doing. As far as my favorite thing to do is help remove energy blocks. So as I'm talking to somebody, I don't know, we just talk back and forth and we kind of come to something and you just feel a blockage clear. and something that was congested starts flowing again freely as far as energy. And this can help people with physical problems. I like to work with people to help chronic things, not acute problems that you should go to the emergency room, but for chronic things that you can't, that just keep nagging. It's often an energetic problem, I think, and that I can really help with that, and also with relationship stuff. I don't know. It's like the sessions are as woo-woo and out there as people want, or as practical as people want. I also do something called intuitive nutritional counseling, which is just kind of like about people's food and energy. And so that could be really practical. Like I say, I feel like you need to eat more healthy fats. And so let me tell you about what some healthy fats are. Or it could be like, I feel like there's this your ancestors have suffered a trauma around food, and you are healing it in this lifetime. And it's really, I am an intuitive person, and so I can kind of tell how weird people want to get. And I'm willing to go there with people. But mostly it's just like these energy healing sessions. I like doing it because I get to have the kind of conversations with people that I've wanted to have my whole life.
Same
I've
here.
always been able to, yeah,
I'm not healing you though.
totally.
Well, maybe. You're healed.
Yeah, I think we do heal each other. I think what you guys do is healing. If you think of like everything is healing all the time. A dandelion, which people just think is this weed, dandelions go to the most benighted, most sick soil. And they come there the first and start pouring nutrition into the soil. Like they are there to heal the soil. And if you see dandelions, it's where the soil needs the most healing. They show up. That's where they thrive. They're just hard workers. And we heal each other all the time. And the reason I'm talking to you tonight is because I needed the medicine that you have for me, and you needed my medicine, and somebody listening to us needs this. So yeah, in the sessions, it can be anything, and we
it sounds
can
really
talk about-
practical though. It sounds like you're taking
Yeah,
it like
it
it's like a down to earth approach of being woo woo sometimes, because you have to read the audience, like you might be working with someone who doesn't want to get wooey, but you can maybe figure out how to push them a little bit further than their comfort zone, but not go too far, and maybe have them tap into something that they never even knew about before.
Or just go too far and see what happens. That's kind of what we do.
It gives people when people book a session with me, it gives me permission to say, hey, this is what I'm seeing about your energy. When I was very young and could read people's energy, a lot of times I could see clearly that what was coming out of their mouth didn't match what was going on with them. And it was really confusing. And I learned very young age that people do not like to be called out on that stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, so you just got a really strong bullshit detector.
Yes. And I don't have a poker face. I literally, you can tell if I like you or not by how my face looks. And people have told me my whole life, like, you need to do something about your face. Like, you need to mask better. And it was just like, what? Because I always thought I can see what all of you all are thinking. So I thought we were just doing that. Like, I thought we were all just showing.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, and you can tell, I think most people have a decent bullshit detector, but there are some people out there where it's like, I can't really read you very well, but you can always tell the people that you're like, you're full of shit. You can just tell.
You can always hear it in the tone of their voice.
You can look at their face and
well.
everything else, and it's like, you are not a genuine person. I don't want to know you. Goodbye. That's pretty much how I treat it now. I don't need to know you. There's a lot more. Yeah.
So yeah, I think like it's so cool that what I'm doing with farming, me and Jared got together and he was really obsessed with gardening and I was really obsessed with food and nutrition and food as medicine. And then we came together with that. And so I feel like the farm is a very healing place. I really think when people come here to buy vegetables, like they're entering an enchanted zone of healing. And I just feel like the farm, like when somebody drives up the driveway, I feel like it starts to heal them just being here, and that I get to live here is such a blessing. And so then just doing energy healing sessions is just an outgrowth of that, another kind of healing that I can do. And literally every single person that I've ever had a session with, I'm sure it healed me as much as it did them. And just it gives me so much hope in a time when you can feel really hopeless about like the world is going to hell. But the people who find me, it's not a huge number of people. I'm not super popular and don't have a huge number of sessions every week. But it's the people who find me, there are remarkable people out there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it really restores
Like
my
it's meant
faith.
to be.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
awesome.
That's
And
so
of
cool.
course, we'll include all of your links and where people can go to
Yeah,
find
for
your energy healing and your farm if they want to go, pop in and
Hey,
say,
if they're in the
hey.
area, they can stop by. If we were in Illinois right now, I would already know where it is because I try to find local places all the time.
I'd be over there raiding your chicken house, or at least petting them. I wouldn't steal anything. I just pet them.
Joe holds chickens.
I do. I hold chickens. They're great. They're my friends. But I will eat them if I need to because, worst comes to worst. Sorry, you're a sandwich. So what else do you want to say before we get out of here? Any closing words or advice or anything like that you have for the general masses? All these retards that listen to this show?
Yes, for all of the retards. No, I feel like we're going into maybe a rough time in the next year. And I want to say to everybody who's hearing this that whatever your situation is, the time for like prepping and stuff, that time is past. You right now, today, you have what you need. And you need to have that faith. I have a faith like a meteor I'm really well set up with a lot of stored food and stuff at the farm. A meteor could hit this and I could be away from the farm and I could be standing on the road with nothing. And I believe that I have what I need to face whatever comes next when I'm standing there with nothing. And that's what I just want everybody who's hearing this right now, take heart. We are finding each other and you have what you need to face what is coming. It's going to be okay. And just find people and find connection, find community wherever you can.
Nice.
Yeah, heck yeah, it's like mental prepping
What a
instead
great
of physical prepping.
antidote to fear porn right there. And I think people are looking for that too these days. People are tired of the doom porn. And think about it. Your whole life, you've always had what you need, right? You're still alive. Are you still here? Are you listening to the show? Obviously you had what you needed, right? So stop fucking worrying about meteors. Even though I'd love to see a meteor hit, don't worry about it hitting your backyard because it probably won't. But I don't know. We'll find out. Well, thank you, Becca, and we will put everything you have in the show notes for everybody. And thank you so much for contacting me. That was nice.
Yeah, this
you
is
emailed
amazing.
me. It was great. Great
Thank
to meet
you. It was so
Don't forget to-
nice talking to you all. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Becca. It
Yeah,
was
for
nice
sure.
meeting
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Ben, thank you for coming on. Appreciate you showing up too. Just kidding. All right,
welcome.
everyone. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week.
Thank you for listening to Legit Pet. Please address all content grievances to gofuckyourself@yourmom.com. See you next week.